What's up guys, and in today's video I'm going to be doing another list type video, but it's going to be actually something somewhat different from Smash, although Smash is involved, and it's actually going to be my top 10 favorite video games of all time. So, I actually don't just play Smash, shockingly enough, and I like many different games, and in today's video I'm just going to be talking about my 10 favorites in order. Without further ado, let's just get right into it, starting off with number 10, which is going to be Forza Horizon 4. If you haven't played this game, I totally recommend it. I remember the first time I played this game, it was just so fun. Exploring London, you got to drive around the city in these super sick cars that I actually think felt somewhat different to each other, which is really cool because I think a lot of people fear when they play a game like this that maybe it all feels quite samey, but really it wasn't like that at all, at least from my experience. And I thought a lot of mechanics of the game were really fun and just funny to experience. Like, you can literally chase around like goats and sheep and just be like, I'm gonna get you, and there's no police even that will come arrest you. And there's like beaches, cliffs, you can drive off a cliff and just smash your car. Don't ask how I found out about that. And yeah, I just think it's the type of game where the vibes are so amazing. You really kind of get immersed in this world and you almost feel like you're in the game and you actually are driving the car. And it's just such a nice map. The area is so great. The racing actually feels really, really fun. And it's cool to like customize your car. Sometimes you see people with vehicles that you're like, what even is that? But that's the point of the game. So yeah, I totally recommend this. Even if you're not, that into cars, maybe you'll become into cars from this game. At number 9, we have our first game from the Nintendo console, and it's actually going to be Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Now, Let's Go Eevee is essentially the same game, but I just played Let's Go Pikachu, so I'm going to put it on the list. This game was so fun. I know some people are going to be like, that is not a good game. Like, there are so many better Pokemon games. But I'm just going to be honest, I played it, and I had so much fun with it. Now, it's not going to necessarily have the best graphics ever, but what it does have is amazing gameplay and some mechanics that are really so fun and kind of got started from this game and have now become a mainstay in the Pokemon series. For example, Pokemon being able to be taken out of their Pokeballs, which wasn't really a thing in 3D Pokemon games before this game, and I really love how they implemented it. I think it's just so fun that while you're playing the game, you can have whatever your favorite Pokemon is alongside you just running around, and they all have these very different animations, which I always thought was really cool. And they can even collect things for you, which is like helpful as well. So there's even like a gameplay aspect to it. And the coolest part about it is if you have a Pokemon like Rapidash or something like that, you can just sit on it and ride on it. You can even ride on Snorlax, bro. That's how fat he is. But no, it actually is so cool to be able to do that. And one thing I really like that maybe some people don't know about is if you have a Pokemon like Dragonite or Aerodactyl, a Pokemon that can fly, you can actually fly around on their back. And a Pokemon like Lapras, you can ride on the water. Like, stuff like that is just so amazing to me. Also, if you have a Pokemon that has the ability fly, you can actually use that to teleport around the map as essentially a fast travel system, which I thought was really fun when I played the game. I also think the way that they essentially rebooted the original Pokemon game, but in a whole new light, was amazing, because the originals are maybe the best Pokemon games, but they do feel a bit outdated, at least to somebody like me who didn't grow up on them. So to be able to play it, but in a more modern version, just felt really cool with a lot of the modern day adaptations that they brought in newer Pokemon games, like Mega Evolution and stuff like that. And I also really like the super moves that they gave Pikachu and Eevee, like Zippy Zap and stuff like that. Like, it sounds dumb, but it was actually really fun to use. I don't know, I would just recommend this game to anybody out there who has a Nintendo Switch, because it actually is a really, really enjoyable game. Here we are going to have our first game available on PlayStation consoles, which is actually going to be Ghost of Tsushima. This game essentially takes you back to being a samurai during the medieval Edo period in Japan. And it's just so good, dude. Like, you really become immersed in the story, which is a fantastic story. And there's a huge plot twist at the end. I'm not going to spoil it. But it's so sick to play through, and it really feels like a movie or a TV show because of how well written it is. The combat feels super fun, almost like maybe Elden Ring, but just way less difficult, which I think is good to allow more people to enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying it's never challenging. I played it on the hardest difficulty, and there were some bosses that took me, you know, hours upon hours. But it's not the type of thing where I remember reading an Elden Ring review once, and it said I smashed 3 controllers and broke 8 consoles on this game, and it was a 5-star review. This game won't make you so mad like that, but it will still maybe give you a good challenge. I also think the graphics of the game are just so beautiful. I think it actually is maybe the best graphics of any game to have released thus far. I think Sucker Punch really knocked it out of the park with this game. And you could literally go anywhere on the map and go into camera mode, and it looks like a painting. Like, it's just that kind of game, and that's such a great feature, in my opinion. It's just a great game. I would really recommend it to anybody out there. Now, at number 7, I'm going to say one that maybe some of you guys will be somewhat surprised by, and maybe you guys will think this is actually quite funny that I'm going to put this on the list, but you gotta remember, in this game's peak, it was one of the most fun things to have been out there, and that being Fortnite. Now, Fortnite, I know maybe today is full of just sweats and bots and, you know, just weird events and stuff like that. But back in the day, you gotta acknowledge, from like Season 3 to Season 5, Fortnite was the greatest thing of all time. You would just hit people with a boogie bomb. You would be like, I remember every Friday, I would look forward to like a new item dropping out. They would drop these new modes all the time. Like, you would have the one with jetpacks and rocket launchers or snipers only. Like, oh my gosh. Even just talking about it now is making me, like, wish it was out. And they actually recently have, like, thrown it back to OG Fortnite, but it's not the exact same, you know? But I just feel like Fortnite was so innovative, really, with the building thing. And they implemented it very, very well. And in their prime, the collabs they were doing felt, like, so impossible, and yet they were somehow pulling it off. Like literally having Thanos in the game when Infinity War released. Overall, I think it's still so cool what they were able to achieve with the game. And, you know, I just forever, even if I don't have as much fun with the game today, I will forever love the time that I did have so much fun with Fortnite. And that's why I gotta put it so high on this list. Plus, Nick A30 plays Fortnite. Okay, now for number 6 is probably going to be the least well-known or least popular game on this list, but if you've played this, you know this game is really a masterpiece, and that's going to be Untitled Goose Game. Now, this game is just so fun and silly, and like, I feel like they made every single aspect of this game perfect. I love this game so much, I literally 100% completed it and got every single achievement, and even beat every single level in the speedrun times to get the crown at the end of the game. Spoiler alert. But it's just such a fun game because, if you don't know, you play as this goose, and you just go around doing these different, very simple tasks, like locking a man outside of his garden, or, you know, untying a kid's shoelaces so he trips and falls so you can take his glasses. And they make even the smallest, like, dumbest things feel like so fun to do. Like, you can, you know, get a kazoo, and then every time you honk, it makes a musical noise instead of just a honking noise. And you can also take people's clothes and then wear them, but you're a goose. And, like, you can scare an old lady because you make her put a bow on you, and she thinks you're just her, you know, goose statue, but you're actually a real goose. There's these two, like, neighbors who are always fighting with each other, and you can get them to really fight with each other by, like, messing with each other's yard, and they think it's the other person, but it's actually you doing it. And, you know, there's so many Easter eggs and cool little tricks in this game, and it's even 2-player, which I really enjoyed. It's just such a, you know, unique game. I've never seen anything really like this game, and I wish there was more content. I'd say that's the only downside of the game, is it's really not a long game. The main game is like 10 hours long, like for the whole game. If you're not trying to like do any post-game stuff, it's really like a 10-hour game. It's a very, very short game. There's like 5 levels, and, you know, but I think most of it is just in the discovery, the puzzle solving. It never feels like too intense, even though like sometimes you get chased out of a restaurant by a psychopath and you're just like messing with these people, and it's really, really fun, which I think you may not expect from a game like this, but this is really one of my favorite games of all time. Now, number 5, I have a game that some of you guys might be familiar with. It's called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And you guys might be like, what? Not number 1? You got Smash in your name, dog. But here's the thing, right? I actually think there's 4 games I prefer to Smash Ultimate. But first, let me say why I love the game. Of course, the way they made it is so good. I mean, I still am in shock when I play some of these characters. How could they make, what, 85 characters that are all so different to where there's people who main each character? And like, it's pretty balanced. Like, I know Steve is insane and Sonic is insane and Little Mac is really bad. I know that, right? But like, still you see Little Macs do well. You see Dr. Mario's do well. You saw Ganondorf defeat Light. Like, it's not terribly balanced. It's better than a lot of fighting games, in my opinion. And just, I love the cinematics and the storyline, even though I didn't love the story campaign too much, to be honest. The cutscenes were great. And the online play needs a lot of work. So those are 2 things that are maybe going to drag it down for me a little bit. But it's still my favorite fighting game of all time. And I've never put so many hours into a game as I have with Smash Ultimate. So I think I really like games that just have so much detail in even the littlest things. And that's something that Smash Ultimate perfects, because there's no aspect of Smash Ultimate with, you know, low detail. I mean, literally, like, you can play every single character's voice lines. For whatever reason, you can even play Morgana from Persona 5 pretty much admitting to a hate crime.
Time for some brutality!
But no, seriously, I love this game, and it will just always be fun to me. And so yeah, that's why Smash Ultimate's gonna be at number 5. But at number 4, we actually have a different Nintendo Switch game. You may have thought maybe it's the last Nintendo Switch game, but there's still 2 more on this list. And number 4 is actually going to be Super Mario Odyssey. Now, Super Mario Odyssey, it's just so amazing. I remember I actually got my Nintendo Switch the day Super Mario Odyssey came out. So mine came with Mario Odyssey. And I actually thought the game was kind of weird the first time I played it, because you kind of start out in that black area with the frogs. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, did I pick the right game? Did they mean to release this game? But, you know, with time, I, you know, started beating the levels, and it's just so good, dude. The levels are so well made. I think the Cappy mechanic, where you can transform into different things, is so cool, and it's really, really fun. I think this is the type of game where you could have anybody in the world play this and they would like it. Like, it's that good. And it's not going for anything too complex, too weird. Like, it's really a simple kind of concept they're going for, but they just do it to the absolute highest degree, and they perfected it really with Mario Odyssey. I love that you can change your costumes. I love that at the end of the game, spoiler alert, you actually can unlock the original Mushroom Kingdom as a level from Mario 64. And you can even find Yoshi on top of the castle. Like, it's just so cool. And so random, too. It's got that, like, silly Mario flair to it. Like, for example, Mario having to stop Bowser from doing a wedding with Peach on the moon. Like, what are we even doing anymore? You know, but no, seriously, I do love Super Mario Odyssey, and that's why it's going to be on the list. Now, number 3, I'm actually going to have Persona 5. Now, before I played this game, I was like, this game is a weird game. If you play this, you're weird. I was never interested in anything like this, and I just didn't really get the appeal. But once Joker had been announced for Smash, and I began maining Joker, I was like, you know, maybe I'm somewhat interested. And then they released the game for free as one of the free monthly games on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, well, I might as well download it. You know, I finished Hitman 3, oh my god, am I glad I did so. It's one of my favorite games ever. Like, they made everything about this game so good. I really love the fact that you have these two options throughout the whole game of whether you progress further in your goal of, you know, taking down the bad guy, or whether you decide to spend that time like leveling up your character, becoming smarter, hanging out with friends, doing like actual fun high schooler things. Because although you are a superhero, you're like a high schooler at the same time, and that's like kind of a contrast that you've got to balance in the game. And the game really emphasizes this because it tells you things like take your time throughout the whole game. And so I think that's just a really cool mechanic that I had never seen another game implement before. I also really love the art style of the game and the animation. It feels like you're playing in an anime, to be honest. And the storyline is maybe the best of any game I've ever played in my life. Also, the music, bro. The music is so peak, and you know it's peak, to be honest. You can't even lie to me right now and tell me it's not the best music in any video game ever. Because in all my videos, I play Persona music, so you can't even try to pretend like it's not cool, okay? I know you Sonic fans, I'm sorry, Sonic fans. You guys got number 2, though. You got number 2, Pokemon fans got number 3. But Persona music clears everything else. I know there's gonna be a war in the comments. But no, I'm serious, though. And I just think all the areas are so well made, and even the menus, bro. I feel like they probably took a month creating each menu screen. There's the one where Joker just slaps his hand. There's one where he's like, I think, like staring really close into the camera. It's like, bro, why did they even have to do that? They didn't, but they just did for fun. And I think just stuff like that really is so immersive, and that's why I'm gonna put Persona 5 so high on my list. Now at number 2, we actually have a game developed by Rockstar Games, which, if you don't know, is the studio that creates the Grand Theft Auto series. However, it's not a game from that series. It's actually going to be Red Dead Redemption 2. This game is maybe the most well-made game ever. Like, and you might be like, why is it not number 1? But you'll see. But this game it's pretty much real life in a game. Like, everything that you can do in real life, you can do in this game. And I just don't know how they did it, to be honest. Like, they must have taken years and years and years and years and years to make this game. Because, like, you can make money just traditionally, you know, by working. You can go to a store once you have money and buy things. Or you can go to a store and rob the person at the store for money. And then you can use the money to buy things. And you can gamble with the money. You can, you know, you can like go after people and like be like more of a hero and try to take down the bad guys. Or you can be a bad guy and have the cops actually go after you. You can do the story, which is so amazing. And I'm not going to spoil it, but like, oh my gosh, it's literally like a movie. Or you can never do the story at all. Like, I know somebody who's never played the story. They just go around and be a psychopath, you know? And I really love the honor system in the game as well, because it really rewards you for being a good person and talking to people and stuff like that. That will raise your honor. And as your bar fills up, you then will get lower prices for things in shops like that. And so when you go to buy things, you will actually pay less, which is good. But if you do a lot of bad, you'll have to pay very high prices. Also, you don't have to just buy guns or stuff like that to help you in a literal sense. You can buy drip in the clothing store and then just be walking around like Dapper Dan. So, you know, there's so much freedom this game allows you. You know, I'm not even doing the best job at really explaining all you can do, because there's so many things I haven't even mentioned, like hunting and just living out in the wilderness in this game, and little side missions like the Night Folk, and, you know, it can't even all be gone into because there's just so much. Like, there's so much I don't even know about the game because it's that deep. But yeah, I would recommend this game to anybody, and it's the best made game ever. But I think there is a better game, and that's going to be number 1, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, probably most people watching this video, your favorite game is also this game. It's a very common pick for the best game ever made, and I think it is the best game ever made. I think just the fact that they were able to make a game where you could just, you really felt like you were in the Zelda world, like completely, like if you were Link. Sometimes when you're playing like a 2D Zelda game, you may feel like you're not, you know, actually doing what you would do if you were Link. You're like, why can I only move sideways or back and forth? You know, why can't I try climbing this? In Zelda Breath of the Wild, you can do whatever you want. You can literally go from right the beginning of the game, you get off the Great Plateau, and you can fight Ganondorf and just end the game. Now, you will lose. You will get destroyed, probably. Like, you will just get annihilated. You will, I mean, you might return the game because how bad you'll get beat. But they give you the option. They give you the option to do anything you want to do. I love how varied the different kingdoms in the game are as well. How the Gerudo Desert is like so different from like the Daruk volcano area, and that's very different from the Rito village, which is very different from Zora's domain. And I just think the whole game makes you feel like you're in this fantasy world, and you don't even have to really do the story, although it's so perfect. It's perfect. But you don't even have to do it. If you want, you can just do these little side missions. They're actually so fun. Like, for example, the one that allows you to get the Master Sword. And then after that, in the DLC, you can try to get the Trial of the Sword, which is like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, which is where you have to play as Link with no armor and no tools, and you have to just try to beat these really hard tasks, like fight all these robots and stuff like that with just things you find and scavenge throughout the wilderness, bro. Like, there's this island that takes away all your loot, and Lynels are so fun to like learn to fight, because at first you just get bodied by them. Maybe not just at first, maybe for a long time. Okay, I lost, it was probably 8 hours of my life trying to fight this one Lynel. But once I completed it though, I felt great, and that's just really such a good feeling in a game. So I think just the amount of freedom that the game allows you is what makes it so fun to play. And anybody who would ever play this game would like it. Like, I'm 100% certain of that. So that's why I'm gonna have it as #1 on my list. Do you guys agree with the list, or do you guys think they're all terrible picks? Also, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, please, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.